Hey everybody, it's Matt with K15T. Welcome to our live stream where we are going to explore Confluence databases together. I am particularly excited to be joined by a few friends, one of which is Mixmaster Stefan, who is actually in the same space as me for like the first time ever during a live stream, which is like great. This is what he looks like. He's not just AI.
Hello, everyone.
I'm actually not convinced that he's not AI. He might actually be. Thank you so much for joining. Just so you know, this is live, so you will see Stefan and I do wacky stuff. We're going to try not to mess this up, but you just never know. But you should jump into the live chat. If you are logged into YouTube, you can contribute there, and you definitely should contribute there because you can help guide the live stream. I have the chat pulled up. Stefan is on the chat. We are going to be taking your questions. We are going to be reacting to your commentary, and we are going to be making our special guest sweat if absolutely possible, because today we are joined by Christina Ristevski. Did I say that right, Christina?
Perfect.
Oh, I just realized, I'm like, as I'm saying, I'm like, oh my God, I've never said her last name out loud. I hope I don't butcher this. Christina is the product manager for a little something we like to call Confluence databases. Welcome to the live stream, Christina.
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
We are very excited to have you. And I actually was chatting with Christina a little bit yesterday and reminded her that I am sitting in hallowed grounds here because this is the K15T office where this is the birthplace of Confluence databases, which it's like a homecoming party right now. Christina, welcome.
Thank you. I'm super pumped.
So we have a lot that we can talk about here. I'm going to just say it again. Please throw your questions in the chat. It would be amazing if you would put #question before your question just to help Mixmaster Stefan find it in the chat because we have a lot going on. If you would, that'd be great. If not, I'm sure he will spot it with his eagle eyes anyway. But let's jump into a little bit of database news because Christina, Confluence databases just went GA recently. Like, tell me about that.
Yes, so Confluence databases we finished our GA rollout at the start of August, so we've been out for a little while now. So basically all Confluence Cloud customers now have access to Confluence databases. So if you hit that big blue create button on Confluence, you'll see now not only pages, you'll also see whiteboards, but you'll actually also see databases in there as well. So very exciting. They're a new content type for Confluence. Again, similar to whiteboards and pages, they live in your content tree. So pretty much you get all this good stuff all inside of Confluence, which is very exciting.
I just love it so much. In case anyone doesn't know at this point, Confluence databases started as an app developed by K15T, my company. And we just were super passionate about it. And it was acquired by Atlassian. And it is really excited to have that as one of the cool and amazing content types that everyone gets to enjoy. By the way, Christina, I do love that Andy Gladstone addressed you as the famous Christina from the online community.
Oh, thank you. That's nice. I don't know what I'm famous for. I mean, maybe there's some, I used to be the PM for whiteboards actually, so maybe there's some whiteboards posts looming around, but yeah, I recently took over databases this year, so that's also been a really exciting challenge.
Much love for whiteboards here. Actually, join us next month for a live stream all about whiteboards. I'm already announcing it because, like, why not? I wanted to ask, we had a question come in from the community. Someone was asking, databases, is this a premium feature?
No, databases are available to all editions today. So they're included in free, standard, premium, and enterprise. And there are no limitations or gates. Obviously, the limitations exist within editions for like number of users, etc., but there are none on databases today. So you can make as many databases as you want. Go crazy.
You heard it here first, everybody. Make as many as you want. There's no way you can challenge any of Atlassian's systems. Just make as many as you want. Fill those databases, please. By the way, I've noticed, Christina, you say databases, I say databases. You sound so much more sophisticated. Like, my God. Come on. But
my team actually always tell me this because I say databases and they all say databases. So they're like, they start to copy me. They're like, we're not sure if we're mocking you right now, but we like the way you say databases as well.
It's true. It's true. But if you say Mojo Dojo, right? That sounds a little that where it's like, what's the better way to say that? Mojo Jojo or Mojo Dojo? It gets challenging, right? So. Yeah. You say databases, I say databases. The nice thing is it's available to everyone using Confluence today. That's what actually matters, however you call it.
Yeah.
We have an interesting question in the live chat on the roadmap for databases, which I definitely want to jump into. And we actually had a question come in on our video that K15T created about best practices for databases, asking specifically about calculated fields. So I was just wondering, and that was from Smokey94. Any information on calculated fields in databases?
Yeah, I've got great news to announce. We're actually rolling out our feature. We've internally called it quick calculations. Basically allow users to conduct simple formulas within a database. We've heard a ton from our user base database, that's funny, about how much they want the ability to perform simple calculations. So that'll be coming in the next couple of weeks, hopefully not too many weeks away. And that'll allow users to do things like counting number of rows, conducting the average, minimum, maximum, sum, those sort of things. So that'll be launching very soon.
I love that so much. I actually just watched with colleagues yesterday the very first commercial for Microsoft Excel, which is just as grand as you might expect. But one of the mind-blowing things was calculated fields. He's like, okay, now I'm going to summarize the data. And the guy's like, wow, that saved my whole presentation. It's very 1992, really a beautiful thing. So it's exciting to hear that's coming to Confluence databases. I was curious because our faces are lovely, but I would love to show the real star of the show. There have been some updates to the page link fields, with the ability to add, to do some more things when a new page is created. Would you want to show us some of those improvements?
Oh yeah, sure.
All right, take your time. I know I put you on the spot there. By the way, Andy Gladstone, you are just rocking it in the chat. Andy, you said, "Hello databases, goodbye terrible tables." Whoa, I'm not gonna tell Rory on the editor team that you said that, Andy, but I might. I'm a little bit tempted. All right, so while you're finding, or do you have a page link field?
Oh, let me. I'm going to, give me 1 second while I create a database for this.
Yeah, this is so nice. I was like, hey, would you demo this one field type that you don't have in your database yet?
That's okay.
That's so kind of me.
Okay, we can start sharing now.
All right, show us what you got, Christina.
All right, I'm going to just start again from the beginning. So we recently announced some changes to the page link field. So for those who don't know, the page link field allows you to link Confluence pages in your database. And we'd heard a lot from customers about how when they created this field, they really wanted the ability for some more configurations with page creation. So when you toggle this page creation toggle on, it means that whenever a new entry is created, a new page will be created in this page link field. So this is super helpful. For example, if you want more consistent creation within your organization, let's say you are creating a database that houses all your product requirement documentation. I want everyone in my organization to create very consistent PRDs. That's product requirement documentation, the shorthand for it. So basically what this allows users to do when I toggle this on, these are the new changes, we can actually specify where this page will live. So it can be fixed, which means new pages will always be created as child pages of the selected parent. And then I can go and select that parent item, and that can be a database, that could be a page, or dynamic, which means new pages will be created as child pages from wherever you are editing. So the main difference here, and the reason this one is very interesting, is because, for example, I have a database that's linked as an embed on a page. If I select this dynamic toggle, that means databases will actually be created underneath that page that the database is embedded on. Hopefully that all makes sense. So I'm going to show you an example here. I will just select, let's say, this parent item. Actually, let's use a different parent item. Let's search for Christina's product demos. Thank goodness that page exists. And then the other thing we recently shipped was the ability to have the database entry appear together with a template. So previously, when you were creating a page from a database using the page link field, you either had to say, I want this page to be this type of template, or I want this page to show the database entry. So we heard from customers, they're like, cool, but I want both. I want this entry to appear on this template because I really care about this template, and I want consistent creation from my customers, or from my user base. So again, for example, I've got a PRD template, and I also want this entry to appear on that template. For consistency and referentiality, I can then select a template. So let's see if there is a PRD type template that we can use here, or we could just use something else for the purpose of the demo. Let's use a post-incident review. And then if I toggle this display entry on created pages, it means this entry will then show up on the created page alongside the template. And then let's test this out now. Fixed, so I'm going to say it's fixed. It's going to appear under this product demo. All right, let's fill in some data as well. I like
hearing you say, let's test and let's hope. These are really like reassuring words and terms that I'm hearing right now, Christina. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. Live demo, the live demo gods may be upon me right now.
See, I feel like I should send a care package of like deodorant and, maybe like a sedative or something to guests, because I'm like, hey, don't worry, it's going to be great. Just show me stuff live, and I'll just ask you questions as the live chat demands it. Come on.
No, this is perfect. Okay, so let's use a text field. Let's call this, let's say, I don't know, we can call this mountain. Tag field is going to be super tall. User, let's just tag myself so no one else. Okay, and then page link field, we're going to create a page. Actually, select or create. Let's call this Christina's new mountain page.
By the way, there is nothing more fascinating than watching someone add content to a database, just so everybody knows.
Really just coming up with anything right now for this example dummy data. Okay, so we've created a page in this page link field, and remember we wanted this page to have a template, which was the post-incident review template that we picked, and it should also now show the database entry. So we'll actually have this data linked on the page. So let's check that out and hope that is what was created. Alrighty, so we've got the entry, and then we also have the template down here.
Which is
that. Exactly what we wanted. So yeah, hopefully this is super helpful for everyone. Please give us as much feedback as you like. Feedback is so welcome, and it definitely helps drive and influence our roadmap. We heard a ton about this from customers, so that is exactly why we worked on it. We also thought that this would really help and benefit users' workflows within Confluence, utilizing the power of databases a little more.
I think this is very interesting because I think this is the first instance where I have seen a feature insert content into a Confluence page above the template content, because you're not adding the entry in the template. It's being inserted into the page. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, it feels different to me, is what I will say.
And then hopefully down the track, we will be looking into when you go to create page templates, the ability to embed a database in the page template upon the page template creation process, if that makes sense. Today, that's not possible. You'd have to do this process that I just shared. But we have heard people want to create templates and they want to have databases in those templates from the get-go. That will require some complex engineering, but we have great engineers, so I'm sure it'll be possible, hopefully.
Yes. Okay, I like to hear these kinds of things. It makes me smile. So I have another question here, Christina, from Karen, who commented on your GA announcement in the Atlassian community, asking if there are plans to have database templates. And they reference, like right now, the page property report macro is very useful. So like any like future plans for database templates?
Yeah. So I will just share my screen quickly. I can actually share that we've just launched 3 templates within databases. They're slowly rolling out, so you may or may not see them on your instance just yet. So we have product requirements, a product requirements template, a content library template, and a research repository template. And we felt that these were good starting points to help users understand what databases can be used for and how they can best leverage databases for different use cases. We'd love to hear if there are more templates that you would like to see. Again, these are trying to surface, this is the table layout, card layout, and this is table. And they also surface a bunch of different field types, so you can learn a little bit more about the best way to use those field types.
I'm so excited to see these on screen. This is so cool. Christina, you mentioned that you would like to hear from people. How would you like to hear from people?
How? Is that what you asked? Sorry?
Yeah. Do you want YouTube comments? Do you want me? Do you have a mailing address, a PO box that we can send things to?
Oh, whatever way anyone wants. We have an in-product feedback collector. So if you hit give feedback here, that'll open a little modal and you can leave feedback, and I check that daily. We also have a databases community on the Atlassian community. So if you post in there, we'll get back to you. They're usually probably the main 2 sources that we look at, but also I'd love if there are any live feedback as well. That's also great.
Of course.
Like any YouTube questions, feedback, that sort of thing.
I love there's a button in Confluence where we can all send you appreciation letters, essentially. That's really fantastic. Speaking of appreciation, there's a lot of people in the chat who would appreciate it, and people who have commented in the community. They would appreciate it if I would ask you, what are we doing with Jira? Okay, we would really like to use JQL to not only just import things from Jira once into a database, but like what if we could do, I don't know, like a continuously updating one-way connection or even a two-way connection to Jira. Christina, please, what can we do?
It is a totally fair and valid question. We've heard a lot about this from customers, the ability for two-way sync, so that when I edit a field in a Jira field from my database, it then reflects in Jira. Or also if you do have like this live running JQL query, it's then auto-populating your database. On the first part, the two-way syncing, which is if I update it in Jira or if I update it in Confluence, then syncs across. That's something that is on our roadmap that we'll be looking at in the second half of the financial year. In Australia, we do financial years starting in June. So more so between Jan and July of next year is when we'll start to sort of investigate that. And the second part, which was the like live running JQL and then auto populating the database, that's something we still need to just better understand ourselves, like what the use case is, how we would engineer that. But I'd love to hear from customers exactly like what their use cases would be and why that feature would be so important. I already have like a small hunch as to why it would be important, and I think it would be very cool. But yeah, that's as much information as I can probably share today.
Get ready for the chat to explode, or for people to click that button, and you're going to get so many letters after this. An interesting question, Christina, around date fields, because right now there is support for selecting a date. So the question is, and actually I have a personal question. First of all, will we ever be able to add a time to that? That would be really useful. And then also, someone would like to know from the chat, what about filtering by date? Like to be able to say like from this date and time to this date and time. Any thoughts on adding filters that are more time specific?
Yes, we have heard a bit of feedback about this as well. Definitely on our roadmap. Something that we're taking a keen focus on at the moment is like looking at our foundational core experience. So things like what are our majorly used field types and making sure that they're working in the most ideal way. So the date field is one of those field types that is one of the most commonly used fields. So improving filtering and sorting, again, is something that we're looking at this like currently and in the next couple of quarters as well. But yeah, time is also a good one. That's like on our roadmap. And the second thing you mentioned, on or before for filtering, is also something we'll be looking into.
Excellent. And do we have any kind of time idea on that?
I don't have a timeline on those two at the moment.
All right. You mentioned the financial quarters in Australia, and like between the toilets spinning the other direction and the financial stuff, I'm just like, I don't know if I could survive. The snakes and, the crocodiles, I'm like, fine, whatever, that'd be fine. But the way we do financial quarters, I'm not sure. I got to stay in this hemisphere.
Yeah,
it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So interesting question, Christina. And I was wondering if you would show us, you've mentioned a few times database embeds. And I'm not sure that maybe everybody here is familiar. The question is like, okay, how would I essentially create what used to be a page property report macro? How would I embed a database view and like with a page property report, maybe not display all the things? Could you show us an example of that?
Yes. Okay. So I'll share with you one of our example databases that I've got here. So this is actually feedback that we've had about dark mode for databases. It's something that we will hopefully be shipping really soon. We're nearly finished on this. There's just a little bit more work that we need to do on our side. So it's really easy to embed a database on a page. And we actually see a bunch of customers do this within Confluence. And it's actually one of database's main value props is the fact that they're highly referential. So when you want to create a piece of data or a table that you want referenced throughout Confluence and you want that data to stay up to date and be the central source of truth, we'd recommend creating a database rather than a table. If you do create a table, it's static. You'd need to recreate that table or it would require a lot of duplication of efforts, whereas if you have a database, you can just embed that database on the page and you don't need to do any work. So really it's as simple as copying this URL. Let's go to create page and then pasting that URL, so Control V, onto your Confluence page. So I'm going to publish, I should probably give this page a title.
Yes.
Let's call this Dark Mode Findings.
That sounds like a Batman movie. It's like in a world. Yeah, I don't know. That's Dark Mode Findings.
Not Batman.
Christina Ristevski.
Let's hit publish. And there we go. So then we have our database embedded on this page. And again, I can also start interacting with this database, adding in new fields and that sort of thing. And again, I can also see the different views that I created. So this is like the view that has my participants that I'm going to interview. And there's also the other view. Sammy has hers in a card layout. So yeah, that is how you embed a database onto a Confluence page.
Right.
And actually, can I also share one more thing, Matt? Is that all right?
I don't know, Christina. I'm not sure anybody. Of course, please.
So something that some of our customers are actually not aware of, I'm going to go back to our database for a second, is the ability to embed a database entry on a page. So not just the entire database, but just a specific entry. And we see this commonly used by customers when, for example, their database is housing maybe like a contact or a project or a product. So for example, I really care about this entry being listed on a bunch of pages. Say I've got this entry, I want to know what the feedback was, when it was updated, who's interviewing, and now I want to create a page to write up my interview findings or the summary from my user interview. I can actually hit this copy linked entry, and then I'm going to make sure I hit that. Yep. Then I'm going to create a page, and again, as simple as Control V, paste. Now I have just that entry on this page. So then when I write, summary of user interview 1, I can then see like what was the feedback that customer left, who ran that interview, and it's all kept up to date. So if by chance maybe the interviewer changed and it was actually Sammy, that would then be reflected on this database entry and when I have all my findings here. So that's like a cool little hack that I don't know if many people are aware of because that little draw handle is a little bit hidden.
It is a bit hidden. And you can also get the link to a single field within an entry as well. There's few use cases there, but you can do it. This particular example, if you check out K15T's YouTube channel, we have an entire series of use case videos. We have 5 different use cases where we are using just this for organizing our content creation process, event management, project coordination work, directory management. We use these entries all over the place. That's why it's so profound that, as Christina showed us, that we can now add those to newly created pages and even pages that are using templates. Like it's insane how much a database entry can improve your processes and keep things consistent. Another thing I wanted to point out, Christina, is one of the things with the page properties report, going back to the original question, was it wasn't editable. It was just read-only. With a view, with an embedded view, you can edit it unless someone doesn't have permissions to edit the database, and then they can't edit it, which is also great because you might not want people to be able to change.
Correct. Yeah. And that's like the beauty of having the ability to embed it onto pages is if that data does change and you edit it in that embedded view, it then just reflects back in your source database. So databases, again, their aim is to just drive alignment and consistency and visibility and making sure everyone's on the same page with all the information and that you're looking at the most up-to-date, accurate source of truth.
The source of truth. I do love the sound of that so much. There is an interesting point here, and I think, someone pointed out that they are doing PI planning in Confluence, and they would really love it if they had a template that matched the Jira, I'm assuming the Jira fields that are interesting to them. So I'm guessing like what would be really great is the ability to create our own database templates that match the fields that are in Jira.
Custom templates. So yeah, that's something that we have heard from customers. And again, it's something I don't actually think whiteboards have this yet either, that we want to look at from a new content type perspective. How can you create your own templates? Because we know that that's usually key for organizations in fully adopting tools and things like databases, because obviously the list of provided templates that we have so far is small. So we know that we can get our users to help us do the heavy lifting by creating their own. So at the moment, we don't have that. I probably would be down the track for us a little bit in terms of when we look at that, but I will share any updates on that through community when we do have some.
Amazing. We have a question from someone. Are you going to add drop-down boxes to a field type? I'm thinking we need a bit more information to know which field type you're talking about. Because, for example, the tag field, you can pick from tags. Are you talking about like maybe a text field type where you can pick an option? I would love to know more from the original person who asked the question. Or maybe, Christina, maybe you have some insight to provide there.
No, I think I'm not sure if it's like a new type of field type that they're referring to. But we do have like drop down boxes in our current field types when you are selecting from different things if you're selecting between different tags. So if I have like something like in progress, I can select that, and then if I go down here, I then have the in progress tag I can select from.
And just so you know, Christina is able to create a new tag there because she has enabled that particular option on this tag field. You can also limit it so people can't create new tags. Sometimes important.
Totally.
Christina, Corey wants to know, is it possible to create or update databases via the API? And if not, is this something coming on the roadmap?
Not at the moment, but it is something we're looking at this quarter. We're exploring different APIs for databases. So we have, again, I hope I don't sound like a broken record, but it is something we've heard a lot from customers. You guys are great at giving us lots of feedback. It's awesome, and I love it. It's my favorite thing to do is read through feedback. So it's something that we are actively aware of, and we want to explore, again, for that type of use case of updating the database. And creating entries and that sort of thing.
All right. Everybody use that button. Keep asking for API support. All right, we're going to jump back to the last question. We have clarification. The use case would be to be able to add yes, no type selections, like a toggle, like a binary option.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So today we don't have that at the moment. And I think potentially that might be something like, it could be a new field type that we would add in the future. The only thing I could suggest in the meantime is creating like a yes, no tag, and then like allowing multiple tags, or actually we probably don't need multiple tags if we just want it to be yes, no. And then having this be where users can then select from yes, no. And then when I have this drop down here, I can then select from yes, no, and I can actually probably remove this in progress. Does that help answer?
It does, but the problem is currently someone can, if you have select multiple turned off, then somebody can only pick one. So so even if you have 5 options, they would still only be able to select a single binary option.
Yeah. And then you can also turn off tag creation, so to prevent others from creating new types of tags. So then they would only have this selection option to pick yes, no.
Okay, all right. So hop forward with me back to the API question. Okay, fine. We don't have an API. We don't have API support yet. Is there a plan to integrate automations more with databases? We would love that.
For sure. If you guys remember Avi, him and I chat all the time. We're hoping to introduce automations for databases. Again, that would be something probably in the second half of the FY that we look at. But again, heard a ton about automations, and we know that they would make databases a hell of a lot more valuable. So yeah, that will also be coming soon.
Okay, all right. We have another, y'all, these are amazing questions, live chat. These are so great. Is it possible to have databases add new rows when content types are created? Like, for example, and I would guess this is probably automation territory, as we're adding specific pages to a section of the content tree, that a row is added to our database connecting to that page.
Not yet, although I love that idea. I think that would be awesome. So that would be something that hopefully together when we work with automations and we have database APIs, that we can look to introduce that type of functionality. Because again, that would help things, help users keep all their data organized and housed in one place. So that is definitely something that we would love to look at in the future.
Speaking of the future, we have to think about the past. And there are some of us that really would like to see version history on our databases.
Yes.
Any considerations around version history?
Yeah, that's something we're actually looking at the moment. So hopefully that's something that'll be delivered in the next couple months. We're actively building out that functionality because, again, that's probably I'd say one of our top feedback requests, if not the top feedback request, because we know databases can get quite big. They're like mammoths. They're huge, full of important information, and users are definitely hyper conscious of changes and letting other people edit their databases, especially when this is, you know, something that's meant to be used as a source of truth. We definitely want to make sure we're monitoring any updates. So we hear you loud and clear. That will be coming soon.
Okay. All right. Calm down, everybody who cares about version history. It's coming. But also don't calm down too much. I know it's important. By the way, I just want to make sure it wasn't missed a few minutes ago. We were joking around about Batman and darkness, but dark mode is coming. And if you are using dark mode on all of your pages and you're like sick of being blinded by embedded databases, we're close, right, Christina?
Very close.
Okay.
Hopefully that's coming very soon.
All right. So
you'll see a huge community post when it does come out. Promise that.
All right. And keep your Confluence branded sunglasses at hand in the meantime. I had mine when whiteboards didn't support it yet. And so I was like, it's so close. We're so close, everyone. Hold on. What about, oh my goodness, so many questions, y'all. This is amazing. Would it be possible to restrict not just the whole database, but particular rows or columns in the database? Because certain columns, maybe only, you know, if you're an event planner, as an example, maybe only the food team should be able to change dietary preferences or information about the meals, as an example.
Totally. Yeah, that's a very valid feature request. So today, restrictions work on the content as an object itself, so on the entire database. So you'd basically just be setting anyone can edit or anyone can view. Again, that's on the entire database. More granular restrictions and permissions on entries and fields we don't currently have. It's something we will have to explore. Because again, that is definitely an important use case.
All right. I'm going to jump out of the questions for a minute. What I would love to have you show us, Christina, is, I'm already jumping to the next thought. I don't think a lot of people understand that you can link databases, that you can have links between the two, and the power of those. Could you show us an example of link, how we might link a database using a database link field, and what the benefits are with database linking?
Sure can.
The pressure's on.
I know, I'm feeling it, sweating right now. So I have this example database of example companies, the edition that they would be on, and paid seats. This is all fake data. I made this up. I was thinking about companies that I'd heard of or that I was thinking about at the time. I kind of want to take screen grabs of these company names and just like think about like, what does this say about you as a person, Christina? But we won't dwell on that now. We'll think about that later. I love that Aldi is on the list. Like, come on. Aldi, KFC. I have some great companies in here. So I was really just trying to come up with my own dummy data. But basically, we see customers linking databases quite frequently. It's very useful, again, for that whole idea of keeping information in sync. So in this use case, I have a list of companies that are in my early access program. And I want to make sure that this list is, maintained and kept up to date, because I want to understand who my customers are, exactly what edition they're on, how many users are in each company. Let's say, for example, though, we're not talking to the entire company. We're usually talking to a particular person in that company. So I actually also have a database that has the champions or the contacts that work at those companies that I'm going to be in contact with from my early access program. So early access program, usually chatting quite closely with someone. So I want to make sure that I have those contacts and the data that I need for those contacts all in one space. But maybe I want to add some different data here because I've got different notes about those contacts. So I'll actually show you how to do this from the beginning. Let's also delete this.
No.
It'll come back, promise.
That makes me feel panic, but then I remember how linked fields work. So it's okay. I'm feeling better now.
Yes. So you will go down to the add field, and we're going to use the entry link. And then what this is asking is saying, okay, like which database do you want us to pull from? So that database is called, what was it? Rocket something, EAP, companies and Rocket EAP. So that is where I want to pull where I want to pull the data from. And then I'm going to close this. Now, Cheryl, she is from Costco, Hannah is from IKEA, and Mike is from KFC. So again, dummy data, this is not real. So that's now, so for example, Cheryl, who's at Costco, I can now say, oh, I can't remember what Costco is up to these days. Like what edition are they on? How many seats do they have? I can then create a entry details field. And obviously I'm going to link to the entry link field here. And let's say I really care about what edition these customers are on, or these companies are on. I can then select that, and then that's pulling exactly from this field. So if Costco was to change their edition, let's say Costco is going to now actually be on premium. Select premium, we go back here, and now that has been updated. So now I'm always kept in the loop about any updates to that company from my company database, but it's also reflected in my champion/contact list database. So yeah, that's kind of how entry links work. Definitely would love feedback, thoughts, questions, concerns. Please pass it all along.
These become so incredibly powerful. This, in this example, the entry link field is called entry link field, but you might call it organization, right? If you check out that playlist of use case videos that we have at K15T, a really great one to check out some of the power of link fields is the one about building directories with databases. So for example, at K15T, we manage our entire employee directory through databases, which is amazing because, we have a database of colleagues, right? So, and their picture and their name and their email and the teams they are on and the best practice circles they're part of and just all of the things. So then if I'm looking at the database of our teams or our database of roles and roles, oh God, I'm forgetting the proper term, I can just see linked to that the roles that I am connected to. They're all interconnected, and it makes what used to be managed in a table or a spreadsheet so much more powerful. And when I update my picture, I can just drop it into the database, and my updated picture is going to be shown across every page where we're referring to me. It's really, really powerful stuff. All right, Christina, I have more questions, and I cannot hold them back any longer. Are there any plans on putting databases and whiteboards into the backup functionality for Confluence?
I think they might be referring to space and site backup.
That's what I'm thinking.
There should be, so today they should be covered by site backup. So if you were to conduct a site import or export, databases and whiteboards will be covered by that. I think at the space level, that is coming soon. That's actively being worked on at the moment.
Okay, all right. Is it possible to use JQL in databases?
Yeah, I can even show you. I can actually make that live. We can do it together.
Oh my God. Okay. I hope everyone's sitting down. If you're not sitting down, please sit down now. Unless you're at a standing desk. Don't do that. Never mind.
So when you go to create a new database, you do get this setup panel that pops out on the right, and it lets you connect Jira Confluence or start with a template or import a CSV or HTML file. So this was about Jira. So we're going to open the Jira import modal, and you're going to select the site that you want to select issues from. So I'm going to select our customer feedback site. So that's where all the good feedback that our customers send to us gets stored. And I'm going to use JQL, and I'm going to write my own JQL query here So I'm going to say project equals DCF. That's the database's customer feedback project. And I want the label, because I go through and I label all the feedback to be databases. We were talking about dark mode before and Batman, so it just feels fitting that I need to add this in. And then that's finished my JQL query. I'm going to hit enter, and then I'll get the list of the database's feedback about dark mode. I'm going to insert those into my database, and then you'll see it pulls in all this information about, pulls in all that Jira metadata. So I have the issue type, the summary, assignee, priority state, and the status. So something that is probably worth calling out, and if you haven't used this yet, it's probably good to be aware of, but if you have, you're definitely aware of this, is you can't actually edit these fields. So I'm just showing what is currently existing in Jira. So that's why when I double click, I still can't edit. If I was to create a new field type with, maybe I want to write some notes on this thing, I can say, yep, this user cares a lot about dark mode functionality, etc., etc. Then maybe I don't need all this information. I can go through and say, okay, I don't want issue type because I know that these are all types of feedback. Assignee, we don't have anyone assigned to these just yet, so we can delete that. Priority, these are all the same at the moment. Actually, maybe we'll keep priority, and we'll close status because they're all active and open. So yeah, I can say, cool, like this is the feedback we've had in the last couple of days about dark mode. And I can see like when it was last updated and sort of when that feedback came through, which is super important for us. And worth noting, because I deleted those fields on my database, I didn't delete that data in Jira. I just deleted that metadata from this visualization. So yeah, then I can use this. Again, it's a good way to share out with stakeholders information. So maybe, for example, your triad or your team don't want to get all the way into Jira to start looking at this and sifting through all the feedback, whereas I can then create this curated view of data that I think they can look at, and then I can also embed this on pages. So when we do start working on X feature, everyone is aware of like where this feedback's come from, when it's landed in our inbox, and the type of feedback that we get.
This is very nice. There is someone in the chat who is just a bit disappointed that you can't update the query that is used here. Or if you do, it just wipes the whole thing out and brings the data back in from Jira.
Yes, that is true. So the reason that happens is because when I then import that data again, it then has to fit into these curated columns that I've created. So when you import it, unfortunately, you can't today select the fields that you import. That could be something we look at in the future, or even having, as we mentioned earlier in the call, some sort of toggle that like allows live updates would be really cool, so that when you do get a new ticket or a new issue that matches your initial JQL query gets auto updated, or also tweaking that so that it then reflects what's in those columns. That would also be really cool. Great feedback though. Definitely we'll pass this along.
All right, Christina, we are past the 45-minute mark, which means I'm going to start eating my customary stroopwafel. Again, I will say to my listeners, if you are in contact with a manufacturer or maker of stroopwafels, I will pay them to sponsor this live stream at this point, because these things are amazing. But also I'm going to speed things up a little bit to make sure that we just cram as much great things into this as possible. And one of the things that I wanted to point out was you had mentioned the team is looking at search indexing. And if anyone has tried to search for specific content in a database using the Confluence search, you may have encountered that you're not going to find all the information. Could you tell us just a bit about what the team is thinking about?
Yeah, so today you'll notice databases are only searchable by title, which we know is not always the most helpful because not everyone remembers what they've titled their database. And sometimes you might be looking for specific information within a database. So we're actively working on indexing the content within a database so that not only is the title indexed, but when I'm writing notes about whatever's happening in my database or any type of information that actually also gets indexed, and then it will appear in your search results when you type those keywords.
I am really looking forward to that. Yes. If you need any help with naming your databases, check out, we do have a video all about databases, which has some suggestions on how to name your database as well. So at least you can remember that. There's also a great video on how to name your pages on our YouTube channel as well. Okay, a little bit of feedback, Christina. Thomas commented on the GA announcement on the community and would love the ability to do text formatting. Like, for example, to pick where the comma is on numeric fields, for example. That would be super cool and make their life a lot easier.
Yeah, so I think there's sort of two parts to this in terms of like rich text formatting. So the ability to like bold, underline, change the color of text. That's something that's on our roadmap. And then also, more tweaks to existing fields like number, like date, that sort of thing. We'll also be focusing on in the next few quarters because we really just want the core functionality and the foundations of databases to be like totally rock solid. So that users get an amazing initial experience of databases. So hopefully soon.
That is important. And speaking of initial experience in databases, there was an announcement recently for an importing tool for teams that might be considering moving from Notion to Confluence. And there was a question on that announcement of when can we expect our Notion databases to be imported as Confluence databases and not as tables on the Confluence pages?
Fantastic question. We actually been chatting with the team that built the Notion importer for Confluence. We don't have a date yet currently, but it's something that we will definitely be exploring because we know that customers definitely, when you're wanting to get started in databases rather than rebuilding your table line by line, or we want users to be able to have a really smooth transition from other tools into databases. So I would say stay tuned for community posts and look out for information there. I will probably be posting there to sort of either get some feedback or understand exactly the things that are important to you during that sort of migration process so that we can build a really rock solid experience.
And you can find the I think that tool just went GA. So
yes,
let the team know
something went live somewhere.
We are professionals right now. It did go somewhere. It's like I just did a CrossFit workout last night, and they said do toes to bar, which was you were to lift your toes to the bar, and they said if you can't do that, lift toes to somewhere. And I aimed for lifting my toes to somewhere, not to the bar. So hopefully the importer is all the way to the bar. We will see. It would be really nice, just by way of feedback, to be able to add child issues when adding Jira fields. That is currently not supported, and that would be super cool if, possible sometime.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool idea. I have like a bucket of Jira feedback that we look at. So when we do pick up future Jira field improvements, we will look at this list and prioritize some of those really important capabilities. So
I'm kind of imagining like a literal bucket behind you that says like Jira feedback, and you're just like, there's another one. We'll throw AI.
That would be hilarious. That would be great. I should have prepared that as a prop. And I'd be like, hey, there's all the Jira feedback sitting in it.
Oh my God. Yeah, we need some props in our live stream. That would really help. Just to clarify, someone asked, they asked if you update an entry link field on the embedded view of a database, does that update the field in the actual database? And the answer is yes, it does. Yes. And that's what is so much better than having a bunch of tables or spreadsheets. It's all connected, y'all. Yeah. And that's so beautiful.
And it's like super helpful for there are a number of use cases. I spoke to a customer who had a project that had a like internal secret name, and then that project went live and it launched and they had a new name, and then they had to go back through every table that was mentioned in Confluence and change the name because a lot of customers weren't sure what was being referred to. Whereas if you had a database with that entry, it would then be reflected for you. Like you wouldn't have to do anything; it would just always be reflected in all those pages that had that database linked. And also, for example, maybe like the driver on a certain project, or the product manager, or the marketing manager, maybe that key contact changes, rather than again going back through every page that ever lists who that contact was. If you have that database entry link embedded there, then it will update for you. So
speaking of, you can mention users currently in a database, one user or many. Any chance that there would be a field type where you could add the groups that said users are part of at some point?
Oh, hopefully in the future. That would be really cool for us to do. That's something that we currently don't have. We also, not to tell you more about what we don't have, but something we're actually building at the moment is the ability for users, when you do tag a user on a database, for that to trigger a notification for them to be aware that they've been mentioned on a database. Today, that functionality is missing, but we'll definitely note down the ability to tag not only just users, but teams, because we know that that is also super important, especially as users, when they use databases, they maybe want to say like, this team is important for this type of project, or these are the teams contributing to this project. And as Atlassian is moving towards, having and identifying teams, that's something we'll be looking to add.
Another field type request would be to have action items or tasks, being able to add those to the database. That could be really cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
By the way, thank you,
sick.
Tammy, for the last feedback item. That was very, very cool. Any considerations for assets support?
Is that for, what exactly are we referring to when we say assets?
I believe we're talking about Jira. Again, this is probably in the Jira bucket somewhere.
Yeah, currently it's not on our roadmap, but I'd love to hear more about exactly like this type of use case and what exactly that user or customer would like to see, so that we can investigate and research how to build that into the product.
Yeah. Send Christina a message, Corey. Tell her the story of your world. She wants to hear from you.
Bombard. I love reading feedback, especially when people leave a lot of context in the feedback. That's also super helpful to help us understand. And also if I'm happy to chat to anyone over a call or something. I'm very obsessed with database customers because everyone uses it in the most interesting ways. And it is great for our team to learn more about these use cases that we're building for.
Christina is obsessed about you. I hope that brightens your day, everyone. Of course, I'm eating the last bite right now. There is a question on entry links fields. It'd be really nice to be able to filter on those a little bit better, like to only show certain links and not other ones. Like again, kind of like the ability to do better date and time filtering, just more specific to how entry link fields are used.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you hear that? The click of the pen? That's going down on the paper, everybody.
I'm writing things down as we go because this is great feedback. Further filtering on entry link, I love. That's a fantastic idea.
All right. Well, everybody, I got to break up the party because it's almost time. Live chat, you have been insane. It is so fantastic. I am loving this. Thank you so much for joining us, Christina, and taking our questions and suggestions. If anyone adds comments to this YouTube video, I will make sure they get to Christina. You can also use that button in Confluence to get your questions or feedback to Christina. She is obsessed with you. Thank you so much for joining us, Christina. This has been really awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I bloody love this. This has been great. I wish we could do more of them because we get such good questions and direct feedback. It's awesome. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate you tuning in. And please leave us a ton of feedback. We care a lot about what you guys have to say.
All right, everybody, let's have Christina join us again when, I don't know, there's some more database features to show. And maybe we could even have Stefan join us in person again. Wouldn't that be cool? But in the meantime, please, as was mentioned in the chat, like and subscribe to our channel. It helps more people find it, and it will help you find more helpful Confluence content. Also, check out our weekly newsletter all about the latest and greatest things and best practices coming to Confluence. We are constantly pursuing those things. And join us in another video as we continue to explore how to use Confluence to share what you do best. Bye.